There's a lot of conversation about cutting people off in today's world. You see, people are more vocal about the need to protect your space, to look after yourself. Self care is fast becoming a priority among a lot of people. However, in such discussions or conversations, you hear people who say that self care that is cutting people off can be a form of selfishness, that if you cut people off, you're not considering other people's feelings. And instead of that being a form of self care, it's actually selfishness. And today, I would just like to talk about that just so we are clear about certain things. My name is Chris, and you are welcome. Personally, I think that cutting people off is a form of self care. It's not selfishness, and I'll tell you why. You see, your mental health should be your topmost priority. You shouldn't, because you don't want to come across as selfish, allow people who do not add anything to your life remain there. People who constantly bring you down, people who stress you, people who make you second guess yourself, feel so bad about yourself. What's the whole point of having such people in your life if they don't do you any good? You should let them go. And that means that cutting them off is a form of self care. You are looking after yourself. If anybody says you're selfish for protecting your mental health, then that person doesn't really know what they're talking about. And I feel like the people who always make such arguments are those who intentionally and deliberately, make other people feel bad for having them in their life, because any sensible person would not accuse you of being selfish just because you are protecting your mental health. Again, mental health is very important, just as important as physical health. Some people would argue that instead of cutting people off, it's better you set boundaries for them. But we all know that it's not everybody that respects other people's boundaries. You set boundaries, with certain people, and they constantly try to push those boundaries, try to cross those boundaries, and you find yourself in this tussle with them, constantly reminding them, constantly, standing up for yourself. And when you stand up for yourself, it leads to a fight. It's very stressful. At some point, you just have to let them go, because obviously they don't respect your boundaries. If anybody is going to flout your boundaries, outrightly disrespect your boundaries, that's a clear sign that you need to cut them off. Because if you don't, you are going to continuously fight with them, argue with them, and you're just doing yourself a great disservice. If you ask me, I would say it's better to cut such people off, because having them in your life will be a nightmare. When you have people with challenging behavior in your life, you find that you don't really pay attention to yourself as much as you should, because you spend your energy, you spend your time and your resources on those people, just trying to get them to behave normally, to behave like normal humans would. So instead of continuing to waste your time, energy, and resources on those people, isn't it better that you cut them off instead of letting them remain in your life? You cutting them off is a form of self care, because when they're out of your life, you find that you have more time for yourself. You find that you have more energy for yourself. And with more energy, you're able to focus on things that are meaningful to you, things that will help you grow and advance in life. You are better off without them. So why keep them? Why continue to burden yourself by having them in your life? That is not selfish. There's nothing selfish about that at all. When people accuse you of being selfish because you cut people off as a form of self care, it comes from that notion, that silly mentality that when you do things like that, when you put yourself first before others, you're a bad person. That is so ridiculous. There's nothing bad about you putting yourself first. There's nothing bad about you looking out for yourself. If you don't do that, who will? It's your topmost priority, or at least it should be. If you're not doing that, It means that you are neglecting yourself. Society would guilt trip you the moment you start looking out for yourself. They'll call you a bad person, you're a terrible person if you don't take care of yourself. You can't be productive or beneficial to other people because it would tell on you, it would tell on your body, on your mind, on everything about you. There's nothing guilty or selfish about looking out for yourself. Real growth requires you to let go of certain aspects of yourself that don't align with the future you are building or the place you are going. And such people are part of that. They are part of that ecosystem that doesn't align with the growth that you desire. It's like climbing up a ladder and somebody is constantly pulling you down. What do you think is going to happen? Obviously, you can't grow as much as you should because they are pulling you down. Their weight is telling on you. So you would constantly have to push them off. And as you're busy trying to push them off, guess what happens? Time is going. Instead of you to be climbing up, you're stuck on a particular level. And if you're not lucky, they might actually push you off the ladder. So what would you rather do? It's best that you let them go and focus on your destination, on your goal. That way you're able to climb up the ladder way faster. You're able to grow and become the best version of yourself. Saying that it's selfish to cut people off is equivalent to saying that it's okay for you to hurt yourself because of other people. No, you shouldn't hurt yourself to make someone else feel better. If they don't align with you, with your vision, your goal, and your dreams, they have no business being in your life. You need to remember that you are your number one priority. You are and should be the number one person you care the most about. If any other person doesn't align with how you see yourself, how you envision yourself, they have no business being in your life. Let me know what you think. Do you think it's selfish to cut people off? Like I said earlier, I don't think so. I think cutting people off is a form of self-care. Take a look around my channel. You'll find lots of other interesting videos, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. My name is Chris. See you in the next video.